Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, we are winning the culture war. We have ways to go, but we still are winning the culture war, and that is the important thing here. And what we need to start addressing here is that Jack Phillips, who has been pretty much sued and been over discrimination case for over 10 years, is now finally over. And he can now bake and do his cakes for free, and freedom now, without having to be hassled by these lunatics. We have this here. Colorado Supreme Court tosses case against Jack Phillips over Baker's refusal to make pro-trans cake. The Colorado Supreme Court dismissed the discrimination case of Christian baker Jack Phillips, who refused to create a cake for a sex change. Phillips had previously been ruled by a lower court to have violated Autumn Sagina's rights by refusing to make a pink cake with blue frosting because Sagina identifies as transgender. Phillips had previously been the subject of another cake related to controversy after he refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. That case went to the Supreme Court, where it was concluded that requiring him to make the cake would infringe on his First Amendment rights. The Colorado Court sidestepped a significant legal question by ruling that Scardina, a lawyer, could not sue the baker under the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act in 2019 after having gone through a previous administrative process. Scardina originally filed a discrimination complaint with the Colorado Civil Rights Division, claiming that Phillips declined to make a cake for her birthday in celebration of Scardina's identity as a transgender woman. Scardina asserted that Phillips refused the order over Scardina's gender identity. The commission would reach a confidential settlement with Phillips without Scardina's participation. Justice Melissa Hart wrote that Scardina should have challenged that decision in an appeals court rather than file a new lawsuit. In a dissenting opinion, Justice Richard Garbiel called the ruling troubling due to it throwing Scardina completely out of court. I am concerned that the masterpiece and Phillips will construe today's ruling as a vindication of the refusal to sell non-expensive products with an intrinsic meaning to customers who are members of the alphabet community, etc., etc. So, this is what's going on, right? And this has been going on for over 12 years. And I'm going to address my point after this, right? It says, again, they've been harassing him for over 12 years. In this case, an attorney demanded that Jack create a custom cake that would celebrate and symbolize a transition from male to female, because that cake immediately expresses a message, and because Jack cannot express that message for anyone, the government cannot punish Jack for declining to express it. Yes, exactly. He wasn't declining a service to you, he was declining a request. So, what I would say this here is that he was saying, like, okay, I'll make this cake for you. What do you want? And then the person requests, like, going against what he wants to sign. The guy just doesn't want to do it. You can't force somebody to say something, right? It's like he was not declining service to trans people. He was declining a service of forcing what they want him to write down. And you can't do something like that. That's completely insane. The reason why that this whole freaking trans activist BS is really just disgusting is because they've been going after somebody and attacking this guy for over 10 years, and it needs to stop. Again, now, you just can't force somebody to do anything. Now, if this guy went out and said, okay, I'm not going to go and do this because you are black, oh, I'm not going to give this to you because you're black, or because you're a certain race or whatever, okay, then we have some other issues here, right? And what the whole problem with the trans community, too, is that if you're going to go and say, like, oh, I identify as this, or I identify as that, oh, I identify as a dog, I mean, where does it end to where you can just force people to do this stuff? Again, a lot of this trans community, a lot of these people are moving and trying to force people to do things that people don't want to do. And they'll use legal action to do something against it. Again, the guy is refusing a certain request. You're trying to force him to write something down that he doesn't want to write down. He said he'll make you the cake, and you can probably get, frosting or whatever to do it for yourself, but I don't want to have to write this, and they want him to write this. They're forcing him to do this. That's insane. Again, we can't go and say that when you go and refuse people service, that's an issue, right? I mean, I heard many stories where there are Muslim people that are not allowing this to go through, right? That they won't write certain things down. Normally when people don't give me a service, I'm like, okay, it's whatever. I'll just go somewhere else that will give me service. And, again, this is something that I think is a win against the culture war, and I have to say it is a W. I don't think that people should not give service to certain people of what they identify. For example, he shouldn't have to. He shouldn't refuse service if it's because they're trans. He shouldn't refuse service because they're gay. He shouldn't refuse service because because they're this or that. But he can refuse service of having people request him to write something down. He doesn't have to, because at that point it's not him refusing service. It's him refusing to rewrite something down that you want him to write down. So that be it. So I think that we need to understand that there are a whole bunch of laws in place. We have to understand what is denial of actual service and then forcing somebody to do something. Like, if somebody tells me, oh, like, well, I really want you to write down this, trans people are great, right? Well, I don't want to write that down. So you're gonna cause legal action against me because you're trying to force me to write that down? That's insane. That's the same thing here. This guy doesn't want to write it down, so therefore you don't have to do it. And if this is happening in Colorado, is becoming more increasingly blue throughout the years. I think that it's a way forward. We're getting tired of this crap, and a lot of people are, and it's just a matter of time until everything does a massive shift. We're winning. We're going to get to culture war, but we just need to keep going for it. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.